Hey all, Yak Man here. Don't always expect an introduction that's as clear as this one because I will just talk about random stuff that's interesting me whenever I'm recording. And that may mean that I'll just jump into whatever I'm talking about without even making an introduction. I'll just talk because I generally just have random interests. And today's topic is going to be a little random, but it's generally about like strange stories of people being in unexpected foreign lands for decades or even centuries, like the Japanese POWs after World War II that were deported to several Soviet republics, such as the tens of thousands that were sent to Kazakhstan to work in gulags there. And, most of them were eventually repatriated to Japan by the 50s. But then some of them stuck around. Some of them stuck around in Kazakhstan and married local Kazakh or Russian women, and their descendants still live there today. And that's pretty interesting to me that these Japanese men basically had to create an entirely new life in a country that they had no prior knowledge of, pretty much, and they never even wanted to go to, but they still stuck around and had an interesting and fulfilling life there. And I can also talk about the Korean POWs from the Korean War that the Soviets also sent to Central Asia. Like, I know I've heard of several Korean people that live in Uzbekistan, and it's not because they chose to live there, it's because their parents were deported there. It's because the Soviets would just round up people pretty much and just send them off to wherever they wanted to be. Like, there's also the time that they sent Nazi POWs and several German civilians too into Kazakhstan as well, which is pretty random. But most of those Germans have been repatriated as well because in the 90s, when Germany had reunited, they decided to create a law of return basically like Israel has, which basically just said, okay, you Germans that were deported from here can come back. And most of them did go back, but many of them weren't even able to integrate well because many of them at that point didn't even speak German anymore. Many of them were only fluent in Russian or whatever language they would have been speaking in Central Asia, such as Kazakh. And because of that, they couldn't really integrate well into German life. And that's pretty interesting that these people didn't even want to be in the Soviet Union. They were just kind of brought there and still had fulfilling lives and still, like, basically created new generations of people that didn't even understand German life. There's also the white Russian soldiers who, after the Russian Civil War, were basically afraid of living in a country controlled by communists, so they decided to flee to China. And many of them stuck around and had kids there, and now there is a small population of ethnically Russian people who only speak Chinese, which is very, very odd to think about that there is a group of white people in China who only know Chinese. And I could also talk about the Welsh people in Argentina who have been there for around a century or two, I believe. Like, I think they were brought there during Victorian times. I don't remember the exact reason they were brought there, but many Welsh people immigrated, I believe. They immigrated to Argentina and are still around. Like, and they still showed pride for being Welsh, even though they are at this point pretty disconnected from Wales. And that's kind of just like the overall topic I was thinking of today. Like, I just think that kind of stuff's pretty interesting. Like, another one I just thought about was the community of people who lived in the American Confederacy who decided when the Civil War was about to end that they didn't want to live in a country without slavery. So the Emperor of Brazil basically told them, hey, you can come here and you could still practice slavery in Brazil. And that's pretty crazy to think about, that thousands of people who still wanted to own slaves just had to pack up and go to Brazil. And they stuck around, they had kids there, and now many of those people that descend from those Confederates don't even speak English anymore. And the ones that do have a very unique dialect of English, where it sounds a lot like the old Southern accent that would have existed in the American South, and it also kind of sounds like the stereotypical like I guess black voice that would have existed in like old Disney movies. And it's kind of crazy to think about that this group of Confederate uh, people and veterans just decided we're going to go to Brazil, we're going to live there, have a new life there, and our kids are going to live there too. And they're going to live fulfilling lives in Brazil while still um, learning Portuguese, and they're going to fully integrate. And I know I saw a video interview of a descendant of those Confederates who he's in his 70s now, and even though his kids are white and his wife isn't, he's the only person in his family that speaks English, by the way. Everybody else in his family at this point only speaks Portuguese. So whenever he wants to watch like a movie that's in English, he has to put on captions for his family that's in Portuguese because he doesn't want to see a dubbed version. And that's kind of funny because like if he wants to watch like an American show or movie, like and his family's also interested in it, he has to put on captions so that they can understand the language that they should technically be speaking, but they aren't speaking it because their ancestors decided to pack up and move to Brazil. So yeah, I kind of just talk about this kind of random stuff all the time. Like I could just go on little rants like this without even having to craft up a script. And don't take every single thing I say as complete fact because like I'm probably not going to do a lot of research before each video because a lot of this I just want to get out of my brain. And when I make these videos, it'll just be like random talking. I'm not going to have any like coherent thoughts other than what's coming out of my brain right now. So yeah. Thanks for watching.